Hey y'all, Gina Brown here coming at you from Texas. So I want to share some things with y'all on FlipGrid. Today my focus is going to be mixtapes, grid pals, disco library, and copilots. So let's get started with mixtapes. So mixtapes is a perfect spot to save any videos that you want easy access to or to be able to share easily. So what I do is I create mixtapes for student samples. So any student samples that were really great that I want to put in my plans for next year to show as examples, I put them in my mixtapes. Another great thing that you can do is you're able to share your mixtapes with anybody. So you can share it with the community, with parents, with other staff members. My link is Brown Faves, Gina Brown here, and these are all my favorite videos. So remember, the world is our classroom. We want to be able to share what we're doing with everybody to get everybody excited about learning, so mixtapes is a great way to do that. Let me show you how to add something to your mixtapes. So you simply go to whatever video you want to add. So I'm going to go in my quarantine grid. And in here, all you have to do is click on the one you want to save and add it to your mixtapes. So we did a FlipGrid, what would you send into space as a little time capsule activity. Let's say Sharvie had a great response. I can go to actions and then I can add to mixtapes. I can also share her response from here as well. So now let's talk about Grid Pals. Grid Pals is one of my favorites. My philosophy in teaching is the world is our classroom. So this right here gets at that. You want to make sure that you are active so educators can connect with you. If you're hidden, they can't find you. And what's the fun in that? So if you notice, there's over 23,000 people I can connect with. All these little plus signs, the FlipGrid logo, are all educators that me and my students can chat with. So if it's a little overwhelming to start, you want to filter. So I'm going to filter middle school. I teach science, but this does not limit me to just look at science. If I want to connect with an engineering class, if I want to connect with an elementary class, have my students do a little teach what you know, that would be a perfect audience for that. I'm going to hit science, lots of different sciences, but I'll just pick regular old science. So now you see that it brought my number down to about 700. So there's about 700 grid pals that I can connect with. And if I scroll down, I can look at where they're from. So if I want to kind of filter it to that. For example, if I'm teaching about plate tectonics and I want my kids to connect with a student in California who experiences earthquakes all the time, that's a perfect connection. Typically, I look at the pictures. I want to see which teachers I want to be friends with. So let's hit Nicole. And then I send her an invite. And then if I send her an invite, she's going to get an email saying that Gina Brown wants to be Grid Pals and wants to connect with her. And then her and I are able to connect from there. If somebody wants to connect with you, you'll get an email saying that you have a Grid Pal connection. Pretty cool. Some other ways, Florida, teaching about Everglades. I want the kids to kind of connect and talk with somebody about that. And it's not just limited to the United States. Look, I got somebody here from New Zealand, Lebanon. I mean, come on now, that's pretty cool. So just make sure you're set on active for that one. Now, disco libraries. This is the pay it forward section here. If you are pulling from the disco library, pay it forward, add something in. You've got great ideas too. So they organize them by subjects. Learning at Home, the Met, Wonderopolis is a great site to get some awesome articles. Then you have your FlipGrid weekly hits. These are the ones that had a lot of hits, so you know they're good. Now let's say I want to do a conversation starter. Starting week 6 for remote learning, I want my kids to kind of reconnect a little bit. Disco Library is awesome because you don't have to create your lessons from scratch. You can see what other people have done, so work hard. No, work smart, not hard. So let's say I want to do my aha moment. This looks awesome and I want to steal this. So I just go and I select which grid I want to put it in. So let me pop it into, let's say, my period 1 grid. And then I hit add, and then it pulls it up into that grid and I'm able to edit it. So let's say I want to do 2.5 minutes instead of 1.5. And let's say I want to add some more detail here. I'm able to do that. You can add a focus, which could be a picture, could be a video, could be a GIF, and then some topic tips, and you can even add some attachments, so if you want some resources for them to use. And then you just simply hit update topic, and it will pop it into your grid, which is pretty cool. Now let me show you how to add stuff to the disco library. So my library, this section here, I can also favorite things. So that way if I want to find them easier, but I don't necessarily want to pop them into my grid yet, that's the great spot. So my library, and I can share with you what I have put into the Disco library. So you upload something. It usually takes a couple days, and then if it was approved, which is pretty cool, it gets put in your Disco library. So now let me show you how to add something to your Disco library. So in your grid, let's say I wanted to add my what would you send into space, which I already have, but I'll kind of show you the process for that. So you go to Actions and you hit Add to Disco Library. Then you are going to give your audience, so let's say it's a middle school audience, and then you're going to hit your subject. I'm going to put Other. I need to write into FlipGrid because I think there should be a social emotional learning subject, which would be awesome. And I feel like a lot of these would fall into that. Under integration notes, I typically put my lesson plans to give some teachers an idea of kind of where I was going with this. This will not be shown on the student's FlipGrid, so that's kind of a little tip for you. And then whatever you had already done gets copied over, so you don't have to do double work. And then you just hit Add, excuse me, Add to Disco Library, and it pops it right in there for you. So let me talk quickly about Copilots. Let me grab a drink quick. So Copilots is a way for you and your special education teacher, you and one of your administrators, you and a co-teacher to sync up and be able to see the FlipGrids that kids are putting in. So one of my grids that I used a Copilot for was my legacy application. So this is a club at our school to bring more awareness to the diversity of our campus, to kind of celebrate the differences in everybody. So we had a lot of kids that were interested. We only wanted about 12. So we did the first 2 steps on FlipGrid. So we did an interview process, and the kids answered a few questions, and then me and my co-pilots in the comfort of our own homes watched the application videos, graded it using the rubric on FlipGrid, which is pretty cool. And then we were able to kind of dwindle that down to 20. We did a second round of interviews on FlipGrid, and then from there we did in-person interviews. So I added a co-pilot so that way I could share my FlipGrids and we could all work together. So to add a co-pilot, when you do My Grid, if you go to Actions here, you can add a co-pilot. So you click that, and then you just type in that educator's email, and then from there you're able to add them as a co-pilot. They can see any grids at any time, and that just makes it easier, especially with remote learning. I mean, teachers can't even meet up and chat. So this is a great resource for educators as well. I mean, I think that's it, y'all. I'm going to come at y'all with some more videos. And yeah, get going on your FlipGrid. Come on now. What are you waiting for?